The Federal and Pedesta Hospital jointly present the Kanyakumari Marathon 2025. This event is co-presented by Rojavanam International School. Run for Health on Sunday, May 4. Entry is free and all are welcome.
Hello and welcome to the Federal. Yesterday, in one of the worst terror attacks that Kashmir has seen, that India has seen in recent years, 26 people were killed, scores of others were injured when terrorists linked to an organization called the Resistance Force, the Resistance Front, which is said to be a proxy of lashkar-e-toiba, opened fire at people in Baisaran of Pahalgam in Anantnag district of Kashmir. This is one of the worst attacks that Kashmir has seen since perhaps the Chitti Singhpora massacre, which happened 25 years ago. And ever since, there's been a lot of comments, statements coming in from political parties, from civilians, locals. We've seen horrific videos of the attacks. Home Minister, Mr. Amit Shah, is currently in Srinagar. He visited Baisaran, the site of the attack, earlier today. The Chief Minister, Mr. Omar Abdullah, the Lieutenant Governor of Kashmir, Mr. Manoj Sinha, they've all been having meetings. They've all been taking stock of the situation. Prime Minister, who was overseas, is expected to be back in India. He's cut his visit short to Saudi Arabia. And earlier today, leader of opposition in the Rajya Sabha and Congress President, Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge, has also issued a statement. He addressed the press where he said that he's appealing to the center to convene an all-party meeting where the political parties across the spectrum, whether from the ruling side or the opposition side, can unitedly condemn the attack and, of course, discuss the way forward. Mr. Kharge also said that this is not the time to indulge in any kind of political blame game. Now, this is, of course, part of standard practice that we see when these attacks happen. You see visits happening, statements being issued by political parties, political leaders, visits of the Home Minister, other ministers to the state and the site where the attack has happened. But with regard to Kashmir, this perhaps once all of this is settled, the usual protocols have been followed, the stock taking of what went wrong, the lapses, all of that is done, it would also perhaps be prudent to ask some very clear questions. The first one being, with an attack like this, where does the buck really stop? We've seen a lot of comments coming, not from senior leaders of the party, but if you scroll through social media or some of the TV news channels, you'll hear a lot of blame game already going on, and all kinds of insinuations being made with regard to who should be held responsible. What is perhaps important to bear in mind right now when one looks at understanding or passing us any kind of judgment on what has happened and who perhaps went wrong, who has a greater share of responsibility and accountability when it comes to something like that, there are a few things to consider. One of the first things perhaps is that the union government, particularly since the abrogation of Article 370, in fact, even before that, when demonetization happened. Since demonetization, more so after the abrogation of Article 370, one of the regular claims that has been made by the BJP, its top leadership, including the Prime Minister and the current Home Minister, has been that terrorist activity in Kashmir has ended. As recently as the just concluded session of Parliament, the Home Minister in both houses of Parliament said, we have buried terrorism in the ground in Kashmir. Less than a month later, you have an attack of this sort. If you rewind a bit, recall on the 9th of June this year, the day the Prime Minister took oath of office for a third consecutive term, also witnessed attacks, a major terror attack in the Kashmir Valley. There have been other instances of similar, not on scale, but in the kind of operation, similar attacks happening not just in the Kashmir Valley, but also in the Jammu region. Bike-borne assailants of, people carrying guns, walking into an area in broad daylight at times, shooting people, shooting at people, killing people, going away. These have been happening over the last 5 years increasingly, while the center keeps saying that things in Kashmir are under control. There is no terrorist activity. We've buried terrorism. We've buried terrorists in the ground. The focus of the current attack, focus of attention is also on the TRF. Now, what is the TRF? The TRF, as I stated earlier, is called a proxy or a shadow organization of the Pakistani terrorist outfit, lashkar-e-toiba. A lot that is already there in the public domain about the TRF. And one thing that everyone, including the security establishment in India, agrees on is that the TRF in itself came into existence after the abrogation of Article 370, 2019 or thereabouts. There onwards, its involvement has been seen or claimed in several attacks that have happened in J&K. The Krishna Dhaba attack, the TRF's role was suspected. The organization has itself claimed responsibility for several such attacks. So, what merit does the center's argument have of ending terrorism in Kashmir when you have a terror outfit taking shape after the abrogation and then giving effect to one after the other several attacks in J&K? Where does the buck really stop? Should the government not answer why the TRF has continued to go unchecked? Should the government not be asked about the veracity of its claim that there is no terror activity happening in Kashmir now? Also, important to perhaps ask is that did the government, and by government I mean the central government, not have any inputs on the likelihood of a terror strike in Kashmir? The security establishment, the IB, even the J&K police currently report to the center through the Lieutenant Governor of J&K, because Kashmir is no longer a state. It's a union territory. It's governed in matters of security, in matters of law and order by the center. And so the center is regularly briefed. The Home Minister is regularly briefed. The Lieutenant Governor is regularly briefed on the security situation, possible security scares, inputs of possible or likely terror attacks, terror strikes, plans, all of that. Were there no such inputs that the establishment received? If they did receive, what did they do about it? We've heard accounts of, kin of those killed yesterday in Baisaran. We've seen local journalists from Kashmir speaking about how the particular area where this attack has happened in Baisaran, the meadows, you have over 2,000 people, tourists from all over the country visiting, not a single security personnel in sight. And this is the state of affairs when everyone knows the LG office in Srinagar, the J&K government, of course, and the central government, that this is the onset of the tourist season in Kashmir. You're expected to have larger inflow of people into the Union Territory, people from all over the country who visit Kashmir during this period. So despite that, if there was an input of a likely attack, Why were arrangements not made? Even if there was no input of a likely attack right now, the fact that Kashmir is a very sensitive area. It has a long history of terrorism directed not just at outsiders, at as tourists visiting JNK, but also directed at locals in Kashmir. So either way, you needed to have security presence. Why was that not done? These are several questions that the center needs to ask. But perhaps at the same time, the center also needs to tone down its rhetoric on making Kashmir terror free. This attack, coupled with what has happened over the last 5 years, more than that, ever since demonetization, as I said, which was the first time when, in fact, demonetization, one of the justifications that the government gave when demonetization happened was that it will break the backs of terrorists. Subsequently, several ministers in the central government have been on record saying post demonetization, terror activity has stopped. It didn't. There is enough data to show that. Then the abrogation of Article 370 happened. Subsequently, similar statements, similar claims were made by the Prime Minister himself, by the Home Minister, by the Defense Minister, by the LG of JNK, that there is no terror activity in Kashmir anymore. But data suggests incidents have happened, and there is evidence on record that terror activity has continued. And now you have the attack in Baisaran. So you have all the evidence in front of you. You have all the data in front of you. If you're going to continue to be in denial, unfortunately, you're only going to invite more of these things. Because you will not appear to be sincere, you will not put in place what is required, only to show that an image of normalcy. That normalcy doesn't exist. Yesterday's attack has made that very clear. And it's time that the central government wakes up and owns up to its failures, does a reality check, admits where it has gone wrong. The buck stops with the Prime Minister and the Home Minister, blaming the state government, which has no powers over the security establishment in JNK, or as somebody the other day did on one of the TV channels, blaming the Supreme Court for allowing elections to happen in JNK, lifting President's rule and precipitating this is not going to help because these are not factually correct statements. The facts are that the government has been telling the country that Kashmir is terror free, and the fact is that it is not, as yesterday's attack has proven.
The Federal and Bethesda Hospital jointly present the Kanyakumari Marathon 2025. This event is co-presented by Rojavanam International School. Run for Health on Sunday, May 4. Entry is free and all are welcome.